The media have turned Tuesday's two Senate runoffs in Georgia into a national election for the obvious reason that if the Republican incumbents lose both races, the Democrats will take control of the United States Senate. Let's bring in our best Hill watcher, Mike Emanuel, Fox's chief congressional correspondent, who'll be anchoring special coverage 1 to 3 Eastern today as the 117th Congress is sworn in. And Mike, the press has been pouncing on the fact that President Trump tweeted that the Georgia election, not just his own, but the Senate races, are both illegal and invalid, even as he'll be campaigning for these candidates. Kelly Loeffler, Republican senator on Fox News Sunday Today, wouldn't say whether she agrees with the election fraud charges. Right. Are the pundits right that all this is sending a very mixed message?
Well, I think it's making a whole lot of Republicans very nervous about turnout on Tuesday with this critical runoff races in the state of Georgia. When you talk about the president saying, that basically the system's broken, that the system was rigged, and then also going tomorrow to Georgia to try to turn out the vote. And so there are a lot of frustrated Republicans all across the country, a lot of them in the state of Georgia. If they are convinced that somehow the 2020 election was unfair to President Trump, what's the incentive for getting out? And so I think a lot of people in Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's office are quite anxious right now, and a lot of Republicans on the ground in Georgia who are trying to drive this across the finish line, worried that this mixed messaging may, in effect, hurt turnout and hurt them when it comes to these critical runoff races.
Has the focus on inconsistencies by Republican Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue hurting them? I'm thinking, for example, that neither one of them was in favor of $2,000 stimulus checks. In fact, Senator Perdue didn't want any direct stimulus payments at all. Now they support it because Trump supports it, and they both abstained. I know Perdue is quarantining from the veto override of the defense bill.
Well, the president's actions certainly put them in a very awkward spot. Are you with the troops signing the NDAA, or are you with President Trump? And they want to be both. And so obviously in Georgia, there's a tremendous military population. There's a tremendous veteran population. So you don't want to alienate those military and veteran families. But they also need President Trump's coalition, President Trump's diehard voters to turn out for them. And so they were really in a tough spot. Kelly Loeffler asked questions about that again today, and she was pretty candid that she was in a tough spot. And so bottom line, she tried to, please both bases, the Trump supporters and also the military folks.
To thread that needle. Now, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that Democrat Raphael Warnock is running against Senator Loeffler, that his ex-wife last March accused him of running over her foot. There was later police body cam footage, which was aired on Tucker Carlson's show, showing Warner denying this, and she's saying he's a great actor. And then the police found no injury and no charges were filed. This keeps getting brought up. Does it deserve a lot of media attention?
Well, it's interesting. I've covered campaigns going back to Bush v. Gore 2000, and Republicans, Democrats, they always try to figure out what in their candidates' background could be potential bombs that could come out at the last minute that could jeopardize the candidacy. And I would think perhaps alleged assault of your wife with your vehicle would be a big one. And kudos to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution for at least checking out the story, doing some reporting on it. It's not entirely clear what the impact has been. I've sampled a lot of the coverage. I haven't seen it all, but part of the postmortem may be, why did you vote for him or why didn't you vote for him? And do some of these issues affect that final vote?
And finally, Mike, with Senator Cruz and Senator Hawley leading this effort to create a commission to examine the Electoral College results and perhaps overturn the election, you have other Republican senators like Mitt Romney and others, Pat Toomey, strongly opposing that. Is it as acrimonious behind the scenes as the coverage would suggest? This is a really deep divide.
Well, Howie, my sense is we're seeing the start of 2024 potential ambitions. You're seeing Republican senators trying to distinguish themselves from one another, from some of the others who may be voting. Obviously, this is a situation that Majority Leader Mitch McConnell tries to avoid every chance possible. One reason, perhaps, why he didn't put the $2,000 stimulus checks on the floor. Certainly, some wanted to vote for them, but he does everything possible to avoid dividing his conference. This is dividing his conference, and so something that makes the Majority Leader very uncomfortable starting this 117th Congress today.
That will be the story of this week, and we'll be watching your coverage, Mike, when the 117th Congress is sworn in. Thanks very much.